business and certification adjustments for the budget.
The fun stuff at the end of the year. Before you, you have some certification adjustments. Once again, just yesterday, we received a very nice, well-received $50,000 donation. So we have another revise. Oh, looks like you got it. You got it. You got it.
Yeah.
Yay.
I've got it too. So
All right, they gave it to you. All right, you got that one. So, revised certifications. This will make us hopefully good for the end of the year. The certifications are the revenue side of things. Our amended budget, current budget was at $5,818,933.91. We are increasing the certifications $240,410.17, meaning our amended budget will now be $6,059,344.08. We are requesting a certification increase of $244,10.17 for the general fund, sorry. For the land improvement, the revenue for certifications there, we are requesting to decrease by $46,387.30. Most significantly, a decrease in the donation side for that particular fund of negative $49,787.30. And in the retirement reserve, as you can see, we're taking it down $5 in investment income. So before you have the changes as requested for 6017, 6015, and 6033, which are the numbers that go along with the funds for the revised budget. If you will approve as requested, as listed.
So I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 4315 for Fund 6017, Fund 6015, and Fund 6033. I'd make that motion.
So, second.
Thank you, Mr. Gertz.
Yes.
Mrs. Schoenlein.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Resolution 4415 is the appropriation or expense side of things, and we are making some changes to both general fund and land improvement. Small on the general fund side, we are going to reduce the appropriations by $90,498 as listed for the three accounts there. And in the land improvement fund, we are going to reduce by $1,099,600. Most notably the $999,600 in the land acquisition. New appropriations will be in place as of the August meeting, and then those will be in place January 1st. Will be, of course, you'll be receiving a budget later today, and then we'll be requesting you to make budget amendment number 1 in January.
Okay. Did you have any questions, Bill? Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve Resolution 4415 for Fund 6017 and Fund 6015.
So moved.
All right. Take the vote. Mr. Gertz
Yes.
and Mrs. Schoenlein.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Michelle. Moving on to surplus property. 2 items there being declared as scrap. HP storage, work, 460 backup tape drive. Item is defective. An HP workstation. Item is defective.
Sounds great. I'd like to make a motion to approve the surplus property listed as 2156E and 2208.
Right.
I'll
Thank you.
second that.
Thank you, Mr. Gertz
Yes.
and Mrs. Schoenlein.
Yes.
Next up are proposed amendments to the bylaws. Changes are there for your review.
Okay, I wanted clarification with Dave on this. Article 11. Or the executive director designee, I'm sorry, do you have one in front of you, David? I'll wait till you get there.
Yes.
Okay. Where it says all vouchers and payments of bills, and where it changes to read executive director, deputy director, or the executive director's designee, and shall be ratified by the park board. So I just want to clarify, because on our policy and procedures that we put in, and I believe it was July or August of this year, we had set limits on John's ability to spend. John, do you have those limits?
I do. It was in August of 2015, a resolution was acted upon, for your reference. I have one for Dave as well.
I know, can you give me those limits where,
Sure. 500 to 2,499.99. The approval could be made at the finance manager level. From 2,500 to 7,499.99. Director of Business and Visitor Services, which is Michelle's position, 7,500 and up within the approved budget. So 7,500 to $50,000 is by the executive director. And if there's an item not in the approved budget, it comes before the Board of Park Commissioners. I would advocate, while I appreciate the questions and opinions of some of our folks here today, that there are sufficient checks and balances in place. That is, we present the line item budget to the Board of Park Commissioners, which will come to you in January for approval. And there will be time between this meeting and January to review that budget in detail.
okay. So, but it stands in the policy, anything over $50,000, even if it's in the budget, you have to bring it before the board, correct?
You're saying over 15?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
One comment I'd like to make, Dave, I read your recommendations, and the thing that jumped out at me is that just plain common sense resolution. I agree with that. Not a lot of legal mumbo jumbo, it's just plain, anybody can understand it. That's good.
So, let me get this correct. So the first article is directly dealing with the payments. Do we need in some way to say, refer to the August 2015, so that it's clear and concise to anyone reading the bylaws that there's a policy and procedures for spending limits that's already pre-approved via appropriation?
Well, it might add some clarity. I'm not sure, maybe Michelle can address whether or not we're really talking apples to apples here on those spending limits as opposed to what the rule,
Because the bylaws, I was one of the ones that said that there needs to be prior approval by the board and the pre-approval of vouchers, and I wholeheartedly believe in that. So if there's not some types of checks and balances, I get that it's in the budget, but at some point there needs to be a check and balance. At Article 12, just so that we're clear, I have no problem with it anyway, that's just that once the money's been appropriated, that the competitive bidding requirements to do change orders, so we would have already approved that.
Maybe one of the things is, this is talking in regards to the payment of the bills. What John was referencing there is the manual, the purchasing manual, which is before the payment of the bills. That's before they can even go out and purchase anything, they have to follow that purchasing manual. So
Right, so you can't make payment if it hasn't followed the purchasing.
They will
Correct.
never get to the step if they haven't followed that particular,
Right,
yeah.
I'm just clarifying that we're
So
following all of
I
the
would
steps.
see Article 9.
Are you understanding what we're saying?
I understand it fully.
Okay, great. Do you have any questions in regards to it?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I would advocate once again that this is the importance of the board understanding budgets for the coming year. And I believe that is part of the checks and balances, because then when that is in place, it gives the executive director the authority to spend between $7,500 and $50,000. If it is outside the budget, we bring it back to you.
Yeah, that's right. If outside the budget, it comes to the board.
Oh, yeah.
But it would have to have been something line item within the budget. To be able to go out, to be paid, correct? In other words, correct me if I'm wrong, Michelle. Say John decides he wants a new truck and it's not in the budget.
It would have to come for you.
We have-
Thank you, just
It
double
has to
checking.
be something in the budget already.
If it's
If
not in the
it's
budget,
not in the budget, it has to come before the board.
Right.
that's
Okay.
very clear.
increase on, we'll use one Matt's project, see, he has a Ford Meadow project, it has a $250,000 item. He's already got pre-approval or approved, he's already got spending
Approved.
$200,000. He needs to increase it by $25,000. He wouldn't need to come back for the $25,000 because in the budget it has a $250,000 line item.
Right,
So he's got a $50,000 variance between what he's spending already and what, he's.
but just for clarification, if he spent 245 out of a 250 budget, and he needed to spend another 20, he would need to come back to us to get it approved previous, because it wasn't in the budget line.
Exactly, yes. Yeah, he couldn't go above the 250.
Just double checking. Okay. So this requires a motion, no, I'm sorry, it needs to be published for 30 days, because it's a
That's
bylaw
correct.
thing.
Essentially,
I mean, you would, if you agree with the language, you would make a motion, enter into the record, so it can be published. But you're not voting on it this time, you're
Right.
simply entering it into the record.
Okay, so we need to make a motion to enter Articles 11 and 12 of the payment of bills and applications and the contractual relationships and board approval of the bylaws be entered into the record.
That's all. We even need a motion on that, Dave?
No, 'cause if it's read publicly, we satisfy it.
Okay. Okay, so
You
we'll,
need to vote on that?
we do not, we'll enter it into the record, and you will vote on that after it's been published for 30 days. You will vote on it at the January regular meeting. All right, next up is appointment of legal counsel, resolution 4515. Requests for proposals were sent to 4 law firms. 2 did not submit proposals, 2 did. Thrasher, Dinsmore, Dolan, and Reminger attorneys at law did submit proposals. You have the information before you in the proposal packets. And I am recommending that we retain Thrasher, Dinsmore, Dolan as legal counsel for Geauga Park District for 2016.
The only difference in that bid was the fact that Reminger outlines what their legal, their different people receive, other than the attorneys. Because Dave knows that most of his work is done by a paralegal. I agree with you, John. I agree.
And I would offer to you, I know there's other issues that we're gonna go to executive session. If you all wanna talk about it, I can leave the room and you can talk about it in executive session.
I think you handled it excellently. In fact, it was kind of funny, in one of the local newspapers, they had an article about $30,000 being dragged out of the budget. Well, folks, let me tell you something. If the Budget Commission would have done their homework and realized that the Ohio Revised Code allowed us to escrow any of these accounts that we wanted to put it in, as long as we held it there for that purpose, it was fine. We didn't have to go to outside attorneys for that. So it's their problem that we had to pay the $30,000. Right, John? David?
That's the position.
Am I wrong?
No, you're correct, that's our
Position.
position.
So don't blame the park board on that one.
Okay, so we want to go ahead and make a motion to accept David Andre of Thrasher, Dinsmore, and Dolan in Chardon, Ohio as our legal counsel for 2016.
Also move.
All right, a motion, a second. Can you second it? Yeah, he moved, can you second?
I second.
Mr. Gervis?
Yes,
Mrs. Schoen?
Yes.
I was challenging the 2-person board.
we don't want to have to try to break in another lawyer.
Right, and for the record, that's resolution 4515.
Right, Ed?
All right, moving on to commissioners' time. I have one item I would like to make mention of, and that was a press release, let me find it here, from Ohio Parks and Recreation Association about, it's here somewhere, the results of the November 3rd election and how Parks and Recreation fared. And it figures I'm not finding it right now, so I'm going to defer to you folks for anything, and I'll find it here in a second. You have anything for Commissioners, Tom?
I do. I have a few things. If you're
I found
looking. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is from Ohio Parks and Recreation Association, which we are a member of. They are headquartered in Westerville, Ohio, but I thought it was worth mentioning. More than 85% of parks and recreation levies succeed on November ballot. 40 of 47 parks and recreation specific levies on Ohio ballot passed in voting on Tuesday, which as I recall was 11/3 of this year. Including countywide issues in Clark, Greene, and Medina counties, the tally includes only those levies which were specifically identified for parks and recreation. I quote, "Voters clearly understand the benefits provided by parks and recreation around Ohio, and again have voted consistently to support the work which is going on," said Woody Woodward, Executive Director of Ohio Parks and Recreation Association. Quality of life matters to Ohio voters, and Parks and Recreation is at the forefront of improving the quality of life of people around the state. We are grateful that this cycle, more than 85% of parks and recreation levies which appeared on the ballot in Ohio were successful. Woodward said it was significant that more than 70% of new or replacement levies, those seeking additional monies from voters, were successful. More than 90% of renewal levies passed. Around the state, levies were successful at all levels of governments, as counties, cities, townships, and villages all passed parks and recreation specific issues. So I'd like to mention that this time of year to you, the commissioners. Congratulations to one of our former employees who is now executive director over at Mill Creek, Youngstown Parks. They passed their levy. So congratulations to Aaron Young. And so we fared well, we in the Association of Parks and Recreation, at the November polls. Just want to mention that. I want to make mention of a couple programs. There are a lot of things that we could praise staff about, but holidays, which we brought back this year, was most popular, with 694 attending, followed by Nature Scopes Family Adventure Hikes with 162 in attendance. So those were our highest attended programs in November. So, nice press release. Thank you, Michelle. Geauga Park District greens up seniors' homes. So the recent last weekend, the Greens for Giving program that we held. So nice job on the press release. Good recognition of families giving back to our seniors with the Holiday Greens program. All right, and probably a number of other things I'm forgetting, so.
Do you have anything to
None on that. No, I enjoyed Denise Weisbart's report on the volunteer park bike patrol. And year to date, it was a total miles of 2,243.5 miles,
Yeah.
274.75 hours. Visitors contacted 5,266, and visitor assists 33. Now, those are volunteers that are on bicycles.
Yeah.
And I think the rangers can tell you that's a well-received program. So my hat's off to Denise and our volunteers.
Okay, my 2 cents. First of all, just so that we clarify yet again, because I think there have been comments made, the hunting that goes on in Geauga Park District is specifically for wildlife management. We do not use hunting in this park as a recreational opportunity. The other thing is Judge Grandel sent a summary of the meetings that he had with residents, and some of the comments that were made don't dignify being repeated. Others I thought were very, very interesting. One person suggested that more school-oriented educational classes should be conducted at the parks. And I personally agree with that, and we're working on that, just so that everyone's aware of it. Observatory Park would be the first project where we're really working to increase education directly with the schools for next year. One person commented that they wanted to ride their ATV to the park, but not on the trails. You know, that's whether or not they're legally allowed to ride their ATV on the road at all. So, Alan, that would be something you guys could discuss with them. That's outside of my scope. And then another individual requested that the park district send out lists of activities. Well, we do. It's called the park newsletter. So obviously, someone's not reading the newsletter that comes to their house, because I don't think any more clearly or concisely could we list, and also on the website. It's clearly and concisely written. So some of it is for educational purposes. And then, Ed, in regards to some of your comments that there weren't many positive things that are happening at the park, I look forward to you getting your January newsletter, because I highlighted all the positive things that have happened in the park. And there have been a tremendous amount of very, very positive things. And quite honestly, I think the staff has worked very, very hard to get those things to come to fruition. So with that said, oh, one other comment, and it might not be new to all of you, but it was new to me. I was at the Westwoods for, God bless you, I think Art Takes a Bow was the name of the program, and the weather was beautiful, and I went outside to go walk the trails, and I walked into a gentleman, and I'm just gonna say, it all happened for Pete's sake, because the gentleman's name was Pete, who had a brown bag that didn't contain liquor, but instead contained birdseed. And he gave me handfuls of birdseed and told me to stand there, and within the minutes, I had birds eating out of my hands. So if any of you all would like to try that, he suggests that you buy birdseed and add peanuts to it. That really, really attracts the birds at the Westwoods. It was a very, very neat thing. I have loads of pictures. Of course,
You
my,
just go to the Westwoods front desk and we'll give you birdseed.
yeah. Or you could do that. The desk was a little overwhelmed that day with a lot of other things going on, so. But, and the other comment I have to make that a lot of people have said, just so that everybody's clear, we do have a policy in the parks that all dogs have to be on leash. So, this is something as far as the group that wants to do, fox hunt training in the park, because I wouldn't consider fox hunting, in my personal opinion. It would be a moot point. But fox hunt training to have dogs off leash, to me, is going to be a challenge at any level.
May I interject just this first? Fox hunting goes back several hundred years to England, and they did in fact kill the fox.
Yeah.
Burn them, they wouldn't be visible. The majority of fox hunts in the country today never kill a fox. The term they use is chop the fox, but never kill a fox. The only foxes that get killed are ones that are rabid, or have mace, they have, can't think of the word right now, but that are not well, they're ill fox. So they're not really hunting fox, they're just having a good ride across the countryside. And again, the hounds are coupled, so you're running two hounds together to train them. That's in the case of observed.
I understand, but also, I work at juvenile courts, and I worked as a CASA for 12 years, and you can't measure the levels of trauma that you would be adding to the wildlife in the parks from the chaos that it would bring forward. And for them, baying hounds, I think, would bring chaos to a park. That's just my personal opinion.
Well, I think that the coyote population is taking care of our fox anyway. It's been a long time since I've seen any on the farm.
Well, that's a try, there aren't very many of them today.
Nope.
That's why you see more drag hunts where they're putting the set down. Right.
Okay.
My only comment to the judge's letter was the fact that it was pretty much, you predicted what it was gonna be. Up here where they wanna fire everybody on the park board, we're the next best thing to slice bread. You know, and everything in the middle. So, it's a typical survey. I take my hat off to them for spending the time on a Saturday to interview all these people and take the time with them, listen to them, and then wrote down exactly what they were talking about. You did a good job. That's all.
Okay, so I think now we're gonna make a motion to go into executive session.
All right, for compensation, and I need to make you aware of some properties.
Oh,
Maybe
okay,
where-
I just thought it was employee compensation, we've got properties too. Okay. You want to settle?
I'm sorry, we missed an item, I don't know how I missed it, because
What
it was
did we
in your
miss?
board packet. Let's back up here to Commissioner's time. Thank you, staff. This is one worth noting. We were wondering if, the county commissioners, yes,
We skipped that.
are closing business for Christmas Eve. Thank you, Anna, and we missed it. We were wondering if the park commissioners would be so inclined to also grant our employees off for Christmas Eve.
I already said I thought they should have been, but.
As far as I'm concerned, I can, sure.
Okay, so we have two yeses.
So that's just the building of the Meyerson and the Westwoods will be closed. The Rangers, of course, sorry, Emma. Still there.
We don't need to vote on that. We'll just enter it in the record and hopefully approve.
Right.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks, Anna.
Okay, so
We're gonna
we
miss
still,
you.
wait,
Yeah, we have a motion on the table to go into executive session for, employee compensation and
Lane.
properties, land acquisition. I don't know if we'll acquire them or not, but I need to make you aware of them, so, those two items, do I have a motion?
I second the motion.
Okay? Mr. Gertz? Mrs. Schoenberg?
Yes. And again, I'd like to thank Anna. I don't think a lot of you have any idea what Anna McDonald did behind the scenes, at least for the last 2 years that I've been here. So sincere thank you, Anna. Okay,
Thank you,
David.
folks. Thanks for coming.